Getting rich is different from staying rich, okay? Slow money, long money. The longer it eventually takes to accumulate, the longer you hold on to it. Fast money, quick money, therefore 70% of lottery winners end up broke within a few years. Think about it. The people who get rich quick lack something crucial to generational wealth. Generational wealth habits. Next, build strong business networks. Leadership in family is based on merit. So now, the family cycle. We've read this before. This is not the first time you're seeing this. This isn't my quote. This was said by somebody else, but we've heard it. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I saw Aaron McKee, who played for John Chaney, said, John Chaney once told me the following. He said, my grandfather walked 10 miles to work every day. My father walked 5 miles. I drive a Cadillac. My son drives a Mercedes. Most likely my grandson will be in a Ferrari, but my great-grandson will be walking again, okay? And so what does he mean by this when he says my great-grandson will be walking again? It says talking, but it will be walking again. What does it mean? That means most people don't prepare generational wealth and generational habits. What needs to transfer are the habits, not just the money. Too often all we think about is, man, I hope I get the money passed down to my kids. No, you hope the right habits gets passed down to your kids because that's what keeps it within the family. So now the Medici family fortune starts through a few different things. Banking and commerce. They rose to become one of the most important families in Florence. Some estimate that they put their net worth at $129 billion adjusted for inflation. Few other things you need to know about this family. Their family influence lasted 500 years, producing 4 popes, 2 queens of France. They were the bank for the Vatican. Think about it. They were the bank for the Vatican. Their art patronage earned them the nickname Godfathers of the Renaissance. They sponsored Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo da Vinci, and Raphael, and this is not the Ninja Turtles, by the way. We're talking about the legit ones, not the stuff that you and I saw as kids growing up. The book, The Prince by Machiavelli, was offered to Piero de' Medici, okay? So you already see their resume. They ruled Tuscany from 1437 to 1737. They had the right network, kings, queens, popes, and royalty. They were more efficient than others. They adopted systems and structured a bank like a corporation. They let ego be their downfall. The lineage started crumbling when the success got to their head and they stopped focusing on the bank. So that's the Medici. Now the next one is the Carnegie family. He grew up poor in Scotland and was making $1.20 at his first job in U.S. Andrew Carnegie's fortune peaked at around $309 billion. He was the richest man in America after selling his company in 1901. Carnegie entered the steel industry in 1873 and started his first company that evolved into the Carnegie Steel Company. Few things about their family legacy. At his death, Carnegie donated most of his money to build over 2,509 libraries and schools like the Carnegie Mellon University. He's referred to as the patron saint of libraries. That was a big part of his mission on what he wanted to do with his life. He left his wife and 9 children with a trust of about $10 million each and the properties he owned. By the second generation, they began donating their land to the National Park Service in the 1970s due to expensive upkeep. So what can we learn from these guys? He was an early pioneer by bringing in Bessemer process of making steel to the U.S. and created a fortune in the process. Carnegie grew up poor and believed the way to wealth was through self-education. This is something that I've applied myself. You hear about this on Valuetainment and many other people who are self-educated folks. This is one way he created his mind and his wealth as well. His legacy involved giving back to the schools and libraries so that people just like him could access the resources he had that allowed him to build his wealth. You can create a legacy by helping more than just your family. So what's the point here with Carnegie? What is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? You know, you hear me talk about capitalism all the time in books and business and entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. What is it for you that gets you excited about it? Getting rich is different from staying rich, okay? Slow money, long money. The longer it eventually takes to accumulate, the longer you hold on to it. They all spend 20 to 30 years building their wealth. Fast money, quick money, therefore 70% of lottery winners end up broke within a few years. Think about this. This is a study that MIT did. Didn't somebody just win $2 billion right now with the lottery? What do you think is going to happen with this regular person that gets $2 billion? You think they know how to manage $2 billion? If the person's never had $1 million, their identity, if their job is $52,000 a year, they get $2 billion. What do you think they're going to be doing with that money? How quickly do you think that goes away? Even though you may say, come on, Pat, you think a person can run through $1.9 billion in no time? Yes, absolutely. Because if you don't know how to manage it, and if your identity doesn't believe you're worth $1.9 billion and you think you're only worth $22,000 of savings in the bank, somehow, some way, either someone's going to rob you of that money, someone's going to take that money from you, you're going to break the law, you're going to pick up bad habits like drugs, alcohol, and then boom, the money disappears. Most of the time, according to MIT. The people who get rich quick lack something crucial to generational wealth. Generational wealth habits. This is exactly what we're talking about. So number one, they invest in sure bets. This is something that these guys did. Number two, investing in appreciating assets. Three, structuring it generational. They think about, how am I going to get this money to go to the kids and to grandkids? It is something they think about. Practicing apprenticeship. What can I do to develop these leaders? What can I do to teach my habits to them? They come to work. They see how mommy's working. They see how daddy's working. They see how you're growing your business. Whenever I'm doing a conference call, I like my kids to listen to many of these conference calls so they see how I'm negotiating. They see how I'm talking. And then afterwards, they'll ask me questions. That is a form of apprenticeship. My 6-year-old daughter, I went home right now to pick up a few of these kilo of gold because I was doing a video for gold. My daughter immediately, Daddy, can I come back to the office? Can I come back? She just wants to be here. And I'm like, absolutely, you can come here. Today she had to do homework and she had some things she had to do, or else she would have been here. Think everything about duplicating good habits to your kids. Most of the time, kids will only see the bad habits, but think about what good habits we can duplicate to the kids. Being pioneers and trendsetters. So some of you guys may say, well, Pat, what do you want me to do with oil? That's already done. Railroad, who the hell is going on? I've never been on a train before. I'm not going to get on a train. Planes, what can I do that's going to be revolutionary? Either be revolutionary or join a revolutionary. Either be a pioneer or jump on a pioneer's ship, plane, and say, I'm going with you. Wherever you're going, I'm going on this rocket. We're going places. I'm going to bring my value to you. But either way, either be a pioneer and trendsetter or join a pioneer and trendsetter. Changing the business with the changing times. They know how to pivot and adjust. Recognizing and capitalizing opportunities. That's something you got to be thinking about and you got to be looking at. Teaching the family early, not waiting till later on to teach them the right habits. Staying away from the spotlight. Very interesting to say stay away from the spotlight. This is interesting where this was a big part of philosophy where they want to be a little low key. Even if you think about the Koch brothers or Rothschild, you don't hear a lot from them. You may even not be able to say that you hear a lot from many of these people who made their wealth then. It's very different today. It's hard for Bezos or Musk or a lot of these guys to stay away from the spotlight today because we have something called social media. And whether you like it or not, the media is going to somehow pull you in. But do your best to stay away from the spotlight. This is what some of these guys did. Leadership in family is based on merit, which means you got to earn it. Kind of like how I talk to my kids when I said, hey, what if one of you guys does something bad? Should that person still get the money? No, you should, okay, great, perfect, no problem. So families have certain set of values in place to get that wealth. You talk about that early. Very simple. The other day I was walking with one of my neighbors. This guy's family, they have 7,000 employees, classy guy. We always talk. I give him value, stayed up till God knows what time for him to create content. And we are like, oh my God, I can't believe how to do this, you're going to be great. But while we're walking, and this is Halloween, and we're doing trick-or-treating. While we're walking, his son walks by, and he says, oh, hey, how you doing? Great. Mom, his son's playing football. And he says, yeah, he lost his technology privileges for 7 weeks. I said, what do you mean technology privileges? He says, yeah, he lost his technology privileges. What do you mean by that? Well, you know, iPhone, video games, stuff like that. I said, why did he lose it? He says, oh, in our family, very basic, in our family, if you don't have straight A's, you lose technology privileges. I said, really? He said, yeah. If you don't have straight A's, you lose technology privileges. Think about that. So I sat there and I came back and I said, I've been thinking about a way to talk to my kids about getting a phone because a lot of people are having phones. They say, oh, how am I going to get these guys the phones? Now there's a system. So the point is, leadership in family is based on merit. That's a merit. You want technology? You got to make sure you have straight A's. So these are some of the things that you borrow to create in your own family. Next, maintaining strong family connections, keeping people together, reunions, traveling together. I remember I was dealing with this one insurance guy, very, very successful guy, and who had a massive exit, and he had started a annuity company out of Kansas City. And one day I'm sitting down with him, talking to him. I said, so tell me some of your family traditions. The guy was in his 70s, so I would like to learn a lot from people that are super successful. He says, every year I take 89 of my family members on a vacation and I pay for the whole thing. I said, what? Really? He said, absolutely. 2 weeks I take them. I said, are you joking? He says, no. He said, let me show you some pictures. He shows me. This is a cruise. This is 89 of us. And he starts telling me I started doing this 20 years ago. First one we did was only 11 of us. Then it went to 15. Then it went to 20. Imagine the pictures he's shown every year. He says, now it's 89. All these grandkids, all these boyfriends and girlfriends. He says, 89, we go together. I said, why do you do this? He says, believe it or not, it keeps the family united. We're all together. I'm like, wow, very interesting. He told me this in 2009 when I started the insurance company, 13 years ago. This Christmas, I tell my wife, when it comes down to one thing that I don't hold back is experiences with the kids. This Christmas, we're probably going to spend $400,000 to $500,000 on our Christmas. Last year was $300,000. There's one thing that I'm going to do to bring the family together is something like this. You get to use your resources to create the family to come together. When I was thinking about as a 23-year-old, one day I want my grandkids to choose to come to my place. I want to build an estate where kids can get to play, swim, do whatever they want, and the in-laws can be in a complete separate house. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, summer vacations, all my grandkids want to come to me because I want to stay close to my kids and my grandkids. Those are some of the things you do to keep the family connections together. Again, see, some people may say, Pat, you're out of your mind. That's important to me. What's important to you? This doesn't apply to everybody, but that's what I think about. What do you think about in finding ways to maintain strong family connections? Next, build strong business networks. You know, connections is a very big thing. Today, I just get a call out of nowhere, and this guy says, hey, Pat, one of our guys here that we work with, he says, hey, you know, there's this guy I just talked to, and he just came up to me, and he's been following Valuetainment for a while, and he wants to be our contact for Hollywood, for Grammys, for all this stuff. And there are people that want to be the agent because they want to, you know, they're seeing what's going on here where we have a lot of exposure on social media and the internet, but we don't have it on mainstream media. And they want to talk to you. This is a connection of a connection of a connection.
I'd recommend you take a look at this video where Patrick Bet David shows us his research that without a doubt points us to the fact that we are about to enter a worse real estate market crash than 2008.